let's take a look at this mind-body connection. You all know of Pavlov's experiments where he conditioned a dog whereby the mere ringing of a bell caused the dog to salivate. The ringing of the bell caused the mind to change its state in the dog, and the change of state caused the dog to salivate. So right here you have the mind and the body connection. We also see that people's appearances change based on their state of mind. And that is why you look at somebody and say, "Why are you looking so down today?" The person's thought processes have impacted the appearance. Or you say, "Oh, you seem so jolly today." So again, the thought has a connection with the mind. If that is the case, why should there not be a similar strong and deep connection between the mind and the bodily organs? Doctors know of the placebo effect. There was a study conducted in 1950 by Dr. Stuart Wolf. He used ipecac. Ipecac is a drug that causes vomiting. He conducted this study on ladies who were pregnant. Now, naturally, in the first few months of pregnancy, there is the tendency to vomit. And to measure this tendency, he made them swallow little balloons so that the contraction which causes the vomiting could be actually measured. Now, when patients came to him complaining of symptoms of vomiting, Dr. Stewart gave them ipecac. And sure enough, the vomiting increased. Then he said, "Now I've got a wonder drug that has just come out. It has just been tested. It has a miraculous control over vomiting, and I'm going to give this to you." And when he would give it to them, their symptoms of vomiting would vanish for the night. Next morning, again, they would reappear. So when I read this, since I am not trained in the medical profession, I said, let me research this. What causes vomiting? And according to the notes, it is primarily caused by the brain. The brain receives varieties of signals, but it is the vomit center in the brain that causes vomiting. And hence, very naturally, there is this strong connection between the state of the mind and the tendency to vomit. So the placebo effect, the same ipecac, when administered with this message that it's a vomit controlling drug, caused the symptoms to vanish. If any of you has studied management like I did, you may have heard of the Hawthorne effect. Do you know what is the Hawthorne effect? You know, in production management, about a century ago, when they were endeavoring to increase the production volume in factory lines, so they would make an adjustment. Supposing we do this for the workers, what will happen? And they found when they made a change, the productivity increased. When they made the reverse change, the productivity still increased. And again they made a third reverse change, the productivity still increased. Then they wondered, why is this happening? And they discovered what is happening is that the workers are experiencing care. Somebody is thinking about them. Somebody is caring for them. It is that feeling that is making them produce more. So similarly, what is called the placebo effect sometimes works as remembered wellness. Placebo effect is sometimes demeaning. If you say, you got cured by the placebo effect, that person says, you mean it was all in the mind? But this can be renamed as remembered wellness. What is remembered wellness? We all remember the state of wellness. And sometimes consciously or subconsciously, we replicate that state. That is why Some of you doctors may have come across this phenomenon. A patient is experiencing acute symptoms of viral throat infection. And then he or she goes to the doctor and the doctor says, "Show me," and the symptoms have disappeared. Now the mere fact that the person is going to meet the doctor tells the person's subconscious that now I will be getting all right, and the remembered wellness takes place. So this connection of the state of mind with the body has a big consequence for the medical profession. How much do you reassure your patient? I came across a study where before the operation, the anesthetist behaved badly with the patient, saying, "I don't know if you'll get all right or not, and I'll do my best, but I'm not so sure." And none of the other staff were aware that an experiment was being conducted. Everything else was going on perfectly. And the second group of patients, the anesthetists, behaved very nicely and very reassuringly with them. Later on, it was discovered that those with whom the anesthetist had behaved well recovered in 2.7 days earlier than the first group. So again, it is displaying the connection between the mind and the body. So there's remembered wellness, and the other side of it is remembered illness. You remember a sickly state and you can fall sick. One study that was conducted in 1981 in Kiribati, which was previously called Gilbert Island. Here, the spinal tap was researched. Now, spinal tap is you put an injection in the spine and extract a bit of the spinal fluid. So sometimes it leads to headaches. Now, they discovered that 1 out of 11 people experience headaches after the spinal tap. And this particular sample group, it was ingrained in them. Look, we are doing this procedure on you, and there's a very high chance that you could get a headache. Now they found that 7 out of 15 people got headaches. So this was the reverse of remembered wellness. It is remembered illness. A very, very common phenomenon is the white collar hypertension. The patient has perfect blood pressure at home, but when she visits the doctor, she finds the blood pressure is increased. So again, this is remembered illness, the mind making the body sick. An extreme example of this is given by Dr. Herbert Benson, who was one of the pioneers in mind-body research, in his book, The Relaxation Response. So he talks about Aboriginal tribes in Australia. Some of them have this custom of the witch doctor of the tribe boning people. So the tribals believe that if the witch doctor cants certain spells and bones me, I have no hope. There is no way I can live. So he says, look what happens when the witch doctor gets annoyed and takes the bone and starts waving it around at someone, lifting the other hand skyward and chanting something. That person's expression changes completely. That person thinks, now I am done with. There is absolutely no hope. The expression changes in a few minutes. That person is suffocating, holding the neck. In a few more minutes, the person has fallen to the ground. And as unfortunate and grotesque as it may seem, in a few hours, the person has passed away. The intellect has decided that there is no hope, you just cannot live. That this is the mind and the body connection.